Shalom, 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 yasha'Allah. This your boy, Brother Allah, back at you with a quick edifying video. Today's lesson is going to be called, With All Thy Getting, Get Understanding. With all thy getting, get understanding. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory. I want to say, Call Halal Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Qadash. That's all praises to the Heavenly Father, whose name is Yahawah, and his only begotten Son's name, who you ignorantly call Jesus, whose name is Yahawashi. All right, and the Holy Spirit, which is the Rawchaa, double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone, who have ruled well through the Spirit, and have fed and edified the sheep in these last days, and has pushed this gospel and this truth to the four corners of the earth in these last days. A mighty shalom. Another mighty shalom to all you Akim out there laboring on the highways and on the hedges and on the unicorn, which is this internet, pushing this 100% doctrine, this 100% truth to the four corners of the earth in these last days. A mighty shalom to you all as well. All right. Like I said, today's lesson is going to be called With All Thy Getting, Get Understanding. Okay. With all thy getting, get understanding. All right. And this comes from our live camp yesterday. It was a brother came by, and, he was basically saying that, Utah was Israel. He's like Utah, and they just put a U, and it was, but it was, for Judah, Utah, right? And, so I'm gonna play a little bit of it, right? And we're just gonna get to some scriptures real quick. All right.
In the real Judah. You heard about that?
About Utah?
What's that? The state of Utah is like really, they go back to Judah with the original tribe.
That's crazy. I don't know nothing about that. Yeah, that's crazy.
Okay. Utah, but they go J, so is it Utah? Utah, you know what I'm saying? There wasn't no J back then.
Yeah.
So it's either like Utah or Utah, but they go back and translate to the tribe of Judah.
You're talking about literally the state of Utah?
Yeah, and that's why the Mormons and everything, they know the truth, because every place in the Bible, the Moab, outside, that's all in Utah, bro. Okay. Everything is all in Utah.
Question though. You know about Babylon the Great, according to the scriptures?
He knows what's going on. I can tell he knows something.
But do you know where Babylon the Great is, according to the scripture?
Babylon, that's the great. Babylon is there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you're saying America, Babylon the Great?
I believe that. Babylon was next to all of that back then. So I'm saying, if you go talking about Utah, that's where they got 85% of the Grand Canyon roped off, because they got the truth. The truth is in them, bro. You know what I'm saying?
So America, Babylon the Great, huh?
I know.
Yeah, so he said the truth is in the Grand Canyon. That's why they got it roped off. Yeah. So, let's just get into it, right? Just got a couple of scriptures, right? I'm not gonna make this too long. But let's get to it. Salakia. Let's go to the book of Proverbs real quick. We can get to it. Matter of fact, let's go to the blue letter. Salakia. Let's go to the blue letter real quick. Right? So, said a lot of stuff, right? And like in the conversation, just asking him, it's just what he heard. All right. Proverbs 4 and let's start at verse 5. Okay. It says, get wisdom, get understanding. It says, forget it not, neither decline from the words of my mouth. Right? It says, the NLT, it says, get wisdom, develop good judgment. Don't forget my words or turn away from them. All right. Reading back on in the KJVA, it says, forsake her not, and she will preserve thee. Love her, and she shall keep thee. It says, wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding. Okay? Get understanding. All right. In the NLT verse 6, it says, don't turn your back on wisdom, for she will protect you. Love her, and she will guard you. Getting wisdom is the wisest thing you can do. And whatsoever else you do, develop good judgment. Okay. But that, getting wisdom, right, is a principal thing, man. It's the wisest thing you can do. All right. And ultimately, what? You have to get this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding from above. All right. We continue to bring this out. All right. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 9, and verse number 17, as it says, thy counsel who have known, except thou give wisdom, and send thy Rawchaa from above. Okay. So the only way that you can get this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding is that it's given to you from above. All right. Through Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Qadash. All right. It says, for so the ways of them which lived on the earth were reformed. What? Through that wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. All right. That's why it's the principal thing. It says, and men were taught the things that were pleasing unto thee, and were saved through wisdom. Okay. And, he basically was just like, he heard that, and he was trying to correlate Utah to Judah, or whatever, how he was trying to say it. You know what I mean? And, we had went in, the brother had brought out Second Ezra, but I think he had left even by then, right? Because he didn't really stop the whole time, right? But this is the understanding that, you gotta be, taught, correctly, right? And you have to go in and you have to study, all right? And, the scriptures constantly talk about, don't be about things that happen in these last days, all right? One of them, right? 1 Timothy 4, verse number 1, it says, now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. Okay. And that's Utah is Judah or Israel, it's just madness. All right. It's madness. But there's a lot of stuff out there to deceive and have people fall. Okay. And the scriptures warn about that. Okay. And when you're listening to a lot of people, because he came and he's like, oh, you guys are with IUIs. No, no, absolutely not. You know what I'm saying? And this is why, it's important to, don't be jumping from, and watching from multiple different camps, because there's so many different ideas, right? You need to get under the true wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, all right, which is under the elders and apostles of GMS on down, okay? Right? But he came in, and he understood he was an Israelite, right? But see, that just shows you that's not enough, man, right? You have to have this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, okay? And the scriptures tell you to what? To not be tossed to and fro, right? Ephesians 4, is it 14? Ephesians chapter 4, verse 14, it says, it says that we henceforth be no more children tossed to and fro and carried about with every wind of doctrine, all right, by the sleight of men and cunning craftiness, whereby they lie in wait to deceive, okay? And there's cunning men that are out there who are deceiving people with this type of, because I've heard stuff like this before, and you got somebody out there, right, that the Lord on the left-hand side has put out there to deceive the people, all right? And you got people walking around spitting that verbiage, right, and, trying to deceive people, okay? But the scriptures tell you, to be like what? This is Acts 17 and verse number 10, right? It says Paul at Berea. It says, and the brethren immediately sent away Paul and Silas by night unto Berea, who coming thither went into the synagogue of the Jews. It says, these were more noble than those in Thessalonica, in that they received the word with all readiness of mind and searched the scriptures daily, whether those things were true. All right. And this is why it's important to study these scriptures, man. Right? Study these scriptures, to see if that's true. All right. And you go into 2 Ezra 14, right? And it talks about, how the northern kingdom, right? Who people say, oh, those people are already here. Yeah, that was the northern kingdom. Well, how did they get here? All right. And the scriptures tell you in 2 Ezra 14. All right. Or is it 13? Salakia. How they got here, by ships. Okay. And they came to where no man ever dwelt. Okay. And that's talking about here in Babylon. All right. That's talking about in the Americas. Okay. And guess what? In those latter days, right, the southern kingdom got here too. Right. And that's what we're trying to explain to them. Right. This was a land set up where no man had ever dwelt. Right. And ultimately, we understand, this is the land of our captivity. All right. The Lord had this land over here set up for these end times. All right. To have the children of Israel, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right, together here in the captivity. Okay. And then they're going to be rescued, right? Those of the elect of Israel, right? Through his son, Yahawashi. Okay. But you gotta get into these scriptures and study. Okay. And the scriptures don't say anything about, roping off, the Grand Canyon, because that's where the truth is at. No. All right. The truth is in these scriptures. The truth is in this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Right. Yahawashi said, if ye abide in me, you are my disciples indeed, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Yahawashi said, I am the truth and the way. Okay. So this is why, you got to actually get in these scriptures and study. All right. This is 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15. It says, study to show thyself approved unto the Most High, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. All right. It says, but shun profane and vain babbling, for they will increase unto more ungodliness. All right. In the NLT, it says, work hard so you can present yourself to the Most High and receive his approval. Be a good worker, one who does not need to be ashamed and who correctly explains the word of truth. Okay. Avoid worthless, foolish talk that only leads to more godless behavior. Okay. So you got to redirect the ship. Listen, that's not according to the scriptures, right? We go into the scriptures, right? This is Babylon, right? That we're in the land of our captivity. Babylon, Egypt, right? The land of the Chaldeans. All right. There's many names, spiritual Sodom in Egypt, right? And ultimately this place is going to be destroyed. Okay. From one coast to the other coast. All right. So Utah is not going to be saved. All right. The Grand Canyon is not going to be saved. Right. All that is going to be utterly destroyed. Okay. Let's get it. Jeremiah 50. And let's see. Look at this, right? We'll start at verse 11, right? You see in the NLT, it says Babylon's sure fall. All right. It's sure fall. Okay. And this is talking about modern day Babylon, aka America. All right. It says, verse 11, because you were glad, because you rejoiced, O ye destroyers of mine heritage, because ye are grown fat as the heifer at grass and bellow as bulls, your mother shall be sore confounded. she that bare you shall be ashamed. All right. And the mother, right, is Great Britain. All right. And guess what? This place is this place is going to be utterly destroyed. It says, she that bare you shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost of the nations shall be a wilderness and a dry land and a desert. It says, because of the wrath of Yahawah, Bahasham Yahawashi, it shall not be inhabited, but it shall be wholly desolate. Okay? Wholly desolate. All right? All of it. Okay? It says, every one that goeth by Babylon shall be astonished and hiss at her plagues. It says, put yourselves in array against Babylon, round about all ye that bend the bow, and shoot at her. Spare no arrows, for she have sinned against Yahawah by Yahawashi. All right. And those bows, those arrows are talking about those ICBM missiles, those intercontinental ballistic missiles, which are going to travel, from these other nations, and they're going to come right to this place, Babylon, right to Utah, right to LA, to New York, to Atlanta, to Texas, Houston, wherever else. All right. And it's going to utterly destroy this place. All right. By fire. All right. And ultimately, too, Yahawashi and the angels are going to be here making sure, tearing this stuff up, too. Okay. Right. Hey, nothing's going to get missed over here in Babylon. Right. It's going to be totally, utterly obliterated. All right. And you have to understand that. All right. And you can't get caught up in these, these doctrines of devils, man. You have to actually go out, it says, blessed is he that readeth, man. Right? Study to show yourself approved. All right. And you gotta, take out that old wine. All right. And put in that new wine into a new vessel. Right. But many people, man, they're caught up in this, well, I heard, well, did you actually read it? Right. And that's why this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding is the principal thing. Okay. Let me see. Let's see. Let's go to the book of Ecclesiastes, right? Chapter 12, verse number 12. It says, and further, by these, my son, be admonished of making many books. There is no end, and much study is weariness of flesh. Okay. In the NLT, it says, but my child, let me give you some further advice. Be careful of writing books in endlessness, and much study wears you out. All right. And then you studying the wrong stuff, man. That's really going to tear you up. All right. So stick to this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Stick to these scriptures. All right. And let this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding be the principal things. All right. Because those are, like I said, let wisdom, knowledge, and understanding be your stability in these times. Okay. You got people running around here saying Utah is Israel, right? Or Judah, right? The land of Judah, whatever. Okay. So I just want to do this quick lesson. Lord's will, this was edifying, right? Well, with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory. I want to say, call Halal Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Qadash, peace and blessings to the elect of the 12 tribes scattered abroad, a mighty shalom to the 144,000 men. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who have ruled well through the spirit and have fed and edified the sheep in these last days. Another mighty shalom to the rest of the elect out there. Stay diligent, stay focused, keep praying for one another. All right. And with that, we say a ball, and shalom.